Hello, hello, hello. It's Carol C.C. Miller, your positive impact coach, peace activator, and global hugger, coming to you with a special edition of Embrace Your Life chats because we usually do them during the daytime. But tonight I have some wonderful ladies joining me, and we're going to be discussing intuition and what does it mean? How do you use it? And we're going to be pulling some cards about it. But before we get started, there's a couple of things I like to remind people about that. One, if you're new to me, I am not a believer in absolutes. I'm not a fan of the words always or never. I've done things that I've said I would never do. So I live on a scale of 0 to 100. 0 being always unkind, 100 being always kind. And I work at staying in the 80 to 100 range for myself. And because of it being a daily practice, I have the tools when I fall out of the 80 to 100% to get back in. Fear visits me, anger visits me, frustration visits me, self-doubt visits me. All of those normal feelings visit me, and I have tools to work back into feeling a little bit better. So that's my first thing I always want to tell people. The second one is I'm a coach. I love coaching. I love cheerleading and supporting people in their dreams. I am not a counselor or a therapist. So sometimes you may need some deeper dive into what you're going through. And I highly encourage you to look for that support if you find you're in need of that. But today we're talking about intuition with these lovely ladies. And I'm going to start it off with the Merriam-Webster's definition of intuition, which is a natural ability or power that makes it possible to know something without any proof or evidence. A feeling that guides a person to act a certain way without fully understanding why. It's so powerful. We all have it. Some of us have it honed in practice more than others, but it is available to anybody who is interested in it. And now I'm going to introduce you to my panel, and I have a couple people who will be joining us at some point during our conversation. We've been having a little technical difficulty, but hopefully they'll be popping in soon. But ladies, I'm going to start with Dani since she's right next to me. Introduce yourself. I'm from Chicago, by the way. Dani, introduce yourself, where you're from, and tell people a little about you.
Hello, I'm Dani. I'm from Arizona, and it's really hot here. I'm sure it is elsewhere as well. It is summer. But I am a transformational coach. I am a motivational speaker, an author of a book that'll be out later on this year about self-care. And I am an energy worker. I'm a Reiki master, do some energy clearing. So I like to utilize that work within my coaching. And really, I focus on self-love and self-acceptance. So thank you for having me here, Carol.
Fabulous.
I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to have more fun.
Excellent. Me too. Nikky, how about you? You're the next one on my screen.
I'm Nikky. I'm in Montreal, and I have started doing card readings only a week ago. And during this week, I've done like 5 or 6, and it's been like a great experience because the people I've done it to are really satisfied and they are very happy with it. So it's interesting. It's been really interesting, and it's exciting for me, and I'm liking it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nikky. And I just heard from Janelle. Because of her internet problems, she's just going to join us in comments. So I will be popping up her comments. Janelle was joining us from Hawaii. So don't feel bad for her. She lives in Hawaii. So Shawna, how about you? Let us know. And Shawna joins me monthly because she's an animal communicator.
Yes, and I'm excited. That's coming up soon. I think it's like July 8th or 9th. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, let me remember the day. And look, there's Nikki's cat right there. She's like, oh, hello. So I'm excited to be here. I live in Vancouver, Washington, and we're like in a heat wave. I never thought I would be happy to say it's 90 degrees, but yesterday it was like 115. So 90 degrees feels like a walk in the park right now, even though it's not my favorite. So you got to look for the little blessings there. So I do animal communication, energy work with animals. And so, yeah, that's me. Everything animals.
I love it. And how about you, Giuliano? Where are you joining us from, and what is your gift in this world?
Hi, everybody. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and it is hot. It is 1 degree warmer than Arizona today, you guys. So my poor husband has to work in new houses, and so he is boiling. I'm an angel intuitive spiritual teacher, and I'm also a self-love coach, and I've written in many books, and I love to talk. So I'm so grateful that you invited us. And I super love the deck that we're working with tonight. And so I couldn't say no. I was like, yes.
I was hoping you would say yes, so thank you. Maria is joining us from New York. Cindy is here. Kendallin is here. So thank you. And if anybody has any questions regarding intuition, that's what I'm going to ask them next. I just read the Merriam-Webster's definition, but I would love to hear anybody jump in. What is your thoughts of intuition, and what does it mean to you?
I think that intuition is that energy that you use to connect to the divine. I call him God, but a lot of people don't. And so I recognize that a lot of people call it mother's intuition, trusting your vibes, trusting your gut. And I learned after a walk through cancer how to tap into that energy that was within me to, I used to, as a little girl, I went to church and prayed to God. And now I know that I can listen to those messages through my intuition, and that you can trust it because it guides you. It helps support you. And it really is, a lot of people say, well, we don't have a manual to guide us. Well, we have our intuition, and it always leads us on the right path. So for me, that's the major what it means to me.
Thank you. I love that. And yes, Shawna, in just a second. Sharon's joining us and Catherine's joining us. Everybody's saying hi. Right now we don't have any questions, but there's lots of highs out there to you ladies. So Shawna, how about you? What is intuition for you?
Well, first I want to say it looks like I saw in the chat Carol is here. So, no, not Carol, Bonnie. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you. You're right.
It says, hi, Carol, I'm here. So, okay. So there you go. Oh my goodness. But hey, that's real life, right? There you go. So yay.
We embrace it all.
So intuition, I feel like intuition is like tapping into that like heart space and like really the inner depths of like our inner knowing and that inner wisdom that we really have, and having that trust in ourselves without looking for that outer guidance, right? To know that we have the answers, and sometimes it can be good to get the validation and clarity from others, but we have that own intuition that's tapped in our heart, and it's just really when we tune into that, it's such a beautiful thing, that heart space.
I love that. Let me add here a comment before we go into introducing Bonnie and having Dani and Nikki share too. Catherine says there's a song called Crazy for You. It has a lyric that I find hysterical. Intuition tells me what I'm missing when I look at you. I'm not sure I know that song, but I'm going to go look it up now because Giuliano, it sounds like you must know that song. So
it sounds right? It's like you can't BS the universe. You can feel, as an intuitive, you can feel when people maybe are not exactly being truthful.
And Janelle, who is going to be online with us, is joining us with comments, and intuition is her lifeline. It's my net when I fall and my wings when I soar. I love that, Janelle. That is beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. Dani and Nikki, before I go to you, I want to bring on Bonnie and introduce her. Thank you for joining us, Bonnie. Share where you're from and what you bring as a gift to the world. And then if you want to, you can go into your definition of intuition. It's totally up to you.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm glad I was able to make it. I thought I was going to be later than I was, but I live in Phoenix, Arizona, that little place between Earth and the sun. That's like very close to the sun. And for those of you who are not used to this heat, like Shawna and Giuliano, man, I know that we're used to the heat, but you guys really aren't. And I mean, it's like we complain about it, but you guys, it's just, you're not used to it. And I mean, you have
and
no
their houses
AC.
Aren't insulated either.
Right.
So.
And they don't have like AC like what we have, just automatically so my heart goes out to you because I know how how miserable that is. What do I bring to the world? One of the things I always been passionate about is animals, and I have a small backyard farm sanctuary here in Phoenix, Arizona, where all of our animals are rescued. It never was really our intent to have this sanctuary. It just kind of evolved into that. So, and what I want to do with that is bring the spiritual connection that people have with animals and show how that they're not just animals. They each have their own personalities. Each species has their own personalities, unique connections with the universe. And one of my taglines is for my nonprofit is some of our greatest teachers are in our own backyard, and it's really true. They're my greatest teachers by far. I've learned so much from them. And with intuition, it's one of those things where, I've always had it. As a child, I was always considered a know-it-all. One of those, and it's my first circuit for intuition is just knowing. I know something, and it's like for the longest time getting out of your head space and listening to the heart of that knowing. It's not what's going on in your head; it's that heart space, and knowing that's where it's coming from. So that's something that I've been working on, obviously with Sunny Dawn and with a group, and that's why I'm so excited about these cards. When I got the cards, there was like amazing, just amazing. The feel, the touch, everything about them. So using them to help hone in on the intuition is really what I'm looking forward to.
I love that. Thank you. And Maria, who is joining us, says, I think intuition is the eyes of the soul. I love that definition. And I know Catherine had asked, I'm guessing she's asking because I'm asking all of you what intuition is. And for me, it's my heart. That's where everything comes in and out of is through my heart, which is my intuition. So Dani or Nikky, whichever one wants to go first.
Oh, for me, intuition is, I agree with everybody who has spoken so far. It's that, for me, the connection to, I call God, the divine source. It's your support, your guidance. When you're praying and asking for guidance, it's that, and it's not usually loud. It's usually pretty low, and it's guiding you and telling you. It's a feeling. You can feel it. It's like a gut feeling. You might hear about that. Just guiding you, letting you know. And that's why it's always said, the answers to your questions are within you, because that's your intuition. That's telling you what's right, what's wrong, what's best for you, what's it for your highest good. And it's up to us to follow that. And sometimes we don't. And then we learn later. And that's happened to me many, many times. But we all do have it. It's not just a handful of people. We all have it. It's just some of us learn about it, learn how to connect with it, learn how to hear it and listen to it. But yeah, that's what I feel for me, what intuition is.
I love that. How about you, Nikky?
I agree with everything you all said. So everything is perfect, right? And what I would like to add is, for me, intuition is the absence of judgment. It's whatever you feel or know before your brain judges, because the brain will bring in judgment. Whenever you take the time to think of something, you will find a way to doubt it. So the intuition is before you let this doubt come in. So it's whatever comes from the love that is inside before you let your brain work. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I do
I
too.
love that.
And that sparked another question before we get into the cards is, what have you done? Because I know all of you are in this line of work to begin with, but what have you done to hone it or trust in your intuition, to listen to the intuition rather than your head saying, no, that's not true? Or sometimes for me personally, I have to differentiate, is that my head telling me this or is it my intuition telling me this? And sometimes it's not that clear for me and I really have to pay attention. So what do you guys do to be able to trust that it is your intuition and not coming from a headspace? Yes, Jill.
I had to really learn what was intuition and how was my intuition the strongest. And so the first thing was to learn the clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. And there's other ones, but those are the four main ones. And so I had to learn that I was clairsentient, which means clear feeling. And as a feeler, I mean, we're all part of SDJ's community. She would do these like quizzes, and she'd say, you know, what's in the envelope or what's in the bag. And I would ruminate because I couldn't see. Yeah. And she'd say, just feel a color. And I'd be like, well, I don't know what color pink feels like. Like I would, even now my hairs are standing up because I'm remembering how, you know, it was because with my ego, I was wanting to almost like perform on demand, where I needed to settle in to that mind, body, spirit connection and say, okay, well, my gift comes in feeling. And she would say, focus on the hits, which means, you guys, not a literal hit. It would mean on what you get right. And so, you know, you use that, you count that. And just like in life, with anything, we're not right at everything. It's a muscle. Our intuition is a muscle. And like muscles in your physical body, you need to exercise it and practice. And so for me, it was just, you know, I would hear my voice in my head and I'd be like, well, that's me. And then I needed to learn, well, that was the voice of the divine through me. And that's where I learned discernment. So, you know, I want to leave space for the other ladies to join in as well. But for me, it was definitely learning what was my main clair and then strengthening that.
Oh, I love that. Yes, Shawna.
So to me, it's going to sound funny what I'm about to say, but to me, you said, you know, how do you learn to trust it? And to me, it's just about that trust, like working with and really honing in that trust. And it's the less you think with the intuition, you just like let it be that first thing that comes to you, because intuition just comes so fast, and it's not about thinking, it's about feeling. So when you trust those feelings and you know you get, you know, the good feelings from them, and you know that they're coming from your heart space, it's just working with that trust. And for me, it was hard when I first really started to really develop my intuition, because I have all the clairs, but one of my biggest ones is the claircognizance. So it's just that knowing that comes into my head. So I would always question it, like, how is this here? How is this here? How is this here? And then when I just was like, hey, it's here, like how is it going to serve me or others and all of that, then it really lightened up more. So there you go.
Yeah. Before you, Bonnie, let me just read Janelle's. She said, trust, I do a body check. Does this feel in alignment with my spirit? If not, it's my brain trying to step in. I love that. So, Bonnie?
One of the things is a few years ago, I was actually had a different teacher, and it taught intuition, taught that kind of things. But what happened is there started to be a sense of doubt in my trust of her kind of saying, well, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And it went against my own intuition. But because she was a teacher and I held her up to a higher standard, I listened to her. And it basically effed up a couple of things in my life. And I'm like going, okay. So, and it made it more complicated. It was just like, it's really, intuition is very simple. Once you learn how you connect, it's very simple. You know, it's just like what Nikky says, listen, not letting your head rule what your intuition is telling you. And then it was like when I started to go to Sunny again about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, or actually it was during the COVID thing, I started getting back into listening, knowing my intuition and working on it. And it was just like when I look back, and like Giuliano, you look at the hits and not the misses. And every time I looked at the miss, I was always looking at the misses, because it was just like, okay, this is what was kind of drilled into me. I don't know, I must not be what I know what I'm talking about. I must whatever. But then I started looking at the hits. I'm like going, wait, I'm getting it more than I thought I was, you know? And so you kind of almost keep a log of what the hits are, because then you're going, okay, yeah, I do have it. Yeah, I am listening to my intuition. And you know how where, Sunny would say you can have 100 people tell you something, or you do something and 100 people will praise you, one person will criticize you, and you listen to that one criticism. And it's like, that's what I was doing. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm listening to my own gut, my own intuition, and not, So yeah, so Sunny has brought it around full circle to where I know I'm supposed to be. So
I used to be, one second, Dani. I used to be the person that if there were 10 people in a room and 9 of you liked me and 1 of you didn't, and I didn't even like that person, I was so, why don't you like me? How could you not like me? What did I do? And I don't even like the person, but I still focused on that one person's opinion rather than my own opinion or the other people in the room. I am not like that anymore, but that used to be where my focus would go to for sure. So, Dani, what do you want to say about it?
Well, you're definitely not alone in that. So that's how it was. And I apologize. I keep pushing a hair that tickles me, so I'm sorry about that. But I did want to talk next. But I think that, and it's to piggyback off of what Bonnie was saying, and everybody, and just, I guess, in a different way, is just that awareness. For me, it was a lot of trial and error. I didn't even realize a lot of it right away, especially in the beginning. And I remember I would listen to it a lot. It was a lot easier to listen to when I was younger. But as I grew older, I would question it. And it was just like a little thing like, oh, you shouldn't do that, or, oh, that's going to happen. And I would question it and either go against it or, oh, no, that's not going to happen. And something would happen. And it's just like, that really didn't happen. Like, really, yeah. I didn't hear that, like that, whatever. And then kept going. So really, as I started developing that intuition muscle, it was about the awareness of when it would come up and what it said. And then whatever my reactions were, what happened as a result. And so it was as Bonnie was saying, kind of taking note of the hits and the misses. And by doing that, I was able to determine what it sounded like, what it felt like. And then I could really tell when it was truly my intuition or my head.
Oh, I love that.
So
thank you.
That's kind of what my journey was as far as really kind of getting into it. So
excellent. How about you, Nikky?
I was a very intuitive child, but I didn't know what it was. So for me, it was something normal. I thought that everybody was like that. I knew so much without knowing what it was. And then I stopped it completely. And it's only very, very recently, like in the last 3-4 months, that I started to try to redevelop my intuition and bring it back. So I'm very new. I cannot really tell you already like how to know the difference. What I can say is that it's my first feeling, that I still have a lot of doubts. Like, for example, Sunny has posted today 3 Buddhas. My first gut feeling told me something. And then I thought, no, I used the pendulum. And it told me something wrong. And when she gave the answers, my gut feeling was right. So I still have so many proof that I should listen to my intuition, that it is my first feeling, but I'm not trusting it yet. I should work on that.
And I don't recall who said it. It might have been Bonnie, but like write it down. Like write down your receipts on what you've got right so you can look back at those later. I think that's phenomenal. And I love having people from different backgrounds and experiences to talk about intuition, because we all have it, and some of us don't trust it. Some of us are learning how to trust it. Some of us know already that we have it. So it's a really good thing. But now, unless you have any questions or comments you want to make, let's go to the cards. This is Sunny Dawn Johnston's new Oracle deck, which has Ascended Masters. It has numbers, animals, and symbols. And it just came out a few weeks ago, a week ago, very recently. And the cards are absolutely gorgeous. And so she asked several of us to be part of the launch team. And she gave each, I assume you remember what card she gave you. when she gave each one of us a card to connect with, and mine was Kuan Yin, and I so desperately wanted it to be the elephant. Because I love elephants. Kuan Yin was the perfect fit for me, but I really was wanting it to be the elephant. So ladies, shuffle up your cards and let's start doing some pulls on them. And then just talk about if people have comments or questions or want a card pulled for them, put that in the comments here and somebody will do that and give you what's coming to them or just whatever's coming to you with the cards. And Nikki, I am right now shuffling, and since you say you're new at this, we're going to start you off in the deep end. So tell me when to stop.
You're muted, Nikki.
Stop.
Okay. Ooh, it's a, let's see if I put it up in the right spot. So it's the heart, Nikki, and it says sacred relationships center love.
Yeah.
So what's coming to you with this card? And Janelle, if you can pull a card and put it in comments, I'll share it too.
I think this is, it's difficult to read a card when you're not addressing to someone. I need to tune into the energy of someone, so I read it for you, Carol.
Okay. You can all read for me. I'm fine with that.
So what I can say about this card is that it represents somebody who has a big, big heart, and I know that you do. And everything you do, it's coming from the heart. And sometimes we forget to take care of our own heart because we are taking care so much about the others. And I see that sometimes as a way of, sometimes it's a cover-up of our self-love journey. Sometimes we don't want to dig into our own self-love journey, so we try to give love to the others in order to receive love. And I'm saying that because this is my own experience. This is what I am doing. And for me, if I had picked this card for myself, this is what I would say to myself, that in order to get the love you want, start by yourself. And this is what this card is telling me.
That's beautiful. Thank you. So ladies, if it's difficult to discuss a card without having somebody, just pick somebody in the panel to pull a card for too. It's totally up to you on how you want to do it. Who would like to go next? Okay, Shawna.
Let me unmute myself. So really interesting. So this, I'll share the cards, and I have to share an experience with you. So when I first got these cards and I shuffled them up and I shuffled them up and shuffled them up, there was a card that fell perfectly on the ground. And I was like, what is that card, right? And it's one that came out today, just now. And actually, 2 cards came out. So I never kind of follow the rules. I just kind of oh, you say, like in Zoom chats, I'll say, type 1 word of how you're feeling. And I usually type 2 or 3, but that's just me, right? I go by my own rules.
You rebel.
Yeah, I'm a rebel. So one of that card came out, and it's a St. Francis card, animal communication, nature, and life purpose. So it's this card right here. And I love this card. And I feel like, this is a reminder for us to really, be in tune with nature and all of animals and, the messages and the wisdom that we can gather, right? I feel like that's so important. So there's that. And then the other card. So I love butterflies, and this is the butterfly, transformation, grace, and vulnerability. And it's funny because this is the card that I was hoping Sunny would pick for me. I was like, oh, let her pick an animal one, and I hope it's butterfly. And it ended up being the tiger card, which I really resonated with. But I feel like the butterfly, it's reminding us that we're always growing and we're always transforming. And, we don't have to be stuck in one way of doing things, and we can always change things up and be, and be who we are. And so with the rule breaker I am, another card just came to me that I have to share, and it's snake, healing, release, rebirth, and change. And it kind of goes along with the butterfly. So how fitting that the cards that would come to me would be the animal ones. So there we go. So
Well, and the first one that you pulled is very fitting to Bonnie as well. She
yes,
has a whole story around that
yes.
card. So
Her her story is amazing, and I feel like the snake is almost similar to the butterfly because we're always transforming and always growing and shifting. So I feel like it's So there we go.
I love
Beautiful
it.
cards. I love all these cards so much. Oh my goodness.
Okay, Bonnie.
So it's interesting because it's like I still cannot talk about the St. Francis card without starting to get emotional. It's still, to this day, every time I see it, I'm just blown away by it. And I would think, okay, well, now I'm used to it because it's in the deck and, and all these kinds of things. And like going, I still am. And then when Sunny talks about how she picked these cards, it was like she didn't, it was like the message just came to her. It was not like, oh, I have to have this, this, and this. And that's why it always floored me that St. Francis, because not that he's unknown, but that it's just something, and not that he's not an ascended master, but you always think of Jesus or Buddha or, Mother Mary or somebody like that being an ascended master, but not St. Francis. I just would never expect him to be in an oracle deck card. And then when she picked that card for me, I'm like, okay, he must have said something to you. St. Francis must have just had a direct connection to you and said, you got to put this in the deck for Bonnie, because I'm like still really blown away. And it's interesting because as you guys were talking, and I was shuffling, and Sunny was always saying, pay attention to the flyers, like the ones who fly out. And I was doing that. And as I was shuffling them, one of them fell out and fell on the ground. So I had to bend down and pick it up. And it was the eagle, the freedom, visionary, risk taker. And I love that card because there's a part of me that needs safety and security, and has always wanted to be kind of a risk taker. And it's like I've realized I don't have to give up my safety and security to be a risk taker. It's talk about the visionary of what is a risk taker. What is a risk taker to you? I mean, it could be just about anything. A visionary and a risk taker. I mean, just use your imagination. Excuse me. And so it's like I look at that and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I look at, wanting to jump off the cliff without a net. I'm like, no, I'll take the net, but I can still soar like an eagle. I can still soar and fly, but just give me that net. Make sure that net is still there. So anyway,
I love that.
I love the way you said that, Bonnie, because I'm not naturally a risk taker. And I actually pulled that card for myself this morning. And I'm like, okay, I need to be. But I love the way you put that. So that makes me feel so much better and kind of something that I'll take in. So thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Janelle is popped in here. The eagle presented for me. Eagle speaks of the freedom that comes when we embrace our true self. When we realize that through the lifeline of intuition, we can soar while still staying connected to both the physical and spiritual realms. The eagle-eyed view grants us the awareness of our journey's path, both the hills and the valleys. The patterns of our life are revealed with a higher perspective, granting us the vision, freedom, and strength to trust and embrace our risk-taking flight. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay, Dani.
Alrighty, let's see. Oh, I got Mother Mary. So grace, miracles, fertility, and mother.
You must have missed that, Dani. Giuliano got it too.
Oh, did you? Oh, so double the Mother Mary power there. Yes. So, I mean, it kind of goes along with what we're talking about because there's lots of changes that are going on, butterfly, snake, growing, and then giving yourself grace to go through those changes, giving yourself grace to have the missteps, giving yourself grace. And speaking to myself too, giving yourself grace as you're growing because you're going to need that. There's the growing pains, that uncomfortableness, and know that you have a mother there to support you. So, I love it. Love it. I got chills.
Okay, Giuliana.
Yeah, I super love that she showed up twice, because then that means pay attention. You know, all of us are women here on the panel, so we all have that inner little girl within us. And I think that we're all in the SDJ community. For those that don't know, Sunny Dawn Johnston, the creator of these cards, you know, she is our spiritual mother of sorts. And of course, the Divine Mother would want to come through Sunny to help all of us nurture ourselves. For me, Mother Mary was a catalyst to help me on many different levels. You know, she is the mother of Jesus. She was a real woman. She existed in history. And so when we need mothering, she is that amazing force that I went to receive it. The year that I got cancer 10 years ago this month, my mother ran for mayor and won. And so even though my mother was there for me, she lives 4 hours away. And so I look to my Divine Mother, our Divine Mother, to help me. Her healing quality is self-love. It's not only mothering, it is, like Dani said, you know, tapping into that divine grace that flows to each of us, that we are worthy. I felt so unworthy. I mean, when Sunny asked me to name my 5 fears, unworthiness and not feeling enough were at the top, and wanting to be liked. And like somebody said, I'm not sure, or maybe it was you, Dani, that, you know, we need to fill our own, or maybe it was Nikki, we need to fill up our own hearts first. We need to love ourselves enough to go out then into the world and shine our lights as, you know, these amazing empowered beings. And for me, she helped me because I was so very empty. And so she's also miracles. You know, I believe in miracles, and we can choose to believe in miracles or not. I see miracles every day. And she's also fertility. And so I have one child. I did have issues. I did pray to her. My husband and I both did, and we have one child. And so, you know, if for those of you that are walking through things right now and you feel alone, this is absolutely the energy to tap into to help you overcome whatever it is that you're walking through. And then because it was the same card as Dani, I pulled another card for all of us and received Sunny's favorite number, 111. Keep those thoughts positive. You know, look at how beautiful it is. It's also about independence and new beginnings. You know, you're talking, dear Shawna, about, you know, the butterfly, and all of us are butterflies because we are all becoming, and we're in this amazing community, and I'm getting all goosebumps. And, you know, knowing that we can be sovereign beings. That's what we're meant to be, while still being a part of that oneness. So I can't say enough about Sunny's cards. They're absolutely beautiful and magical, and I'm so grateful to be here with you all today.
I'm so grateful you were here too, and I can't say enough about Sunny Dawn Johnston. So she actually does her weekly off the cuff on positive focus too. So the audience should know her. Rosalie, we will get to you in just a second. I wanted to share the card I pulled, which I'm always trying to figure out where to put it at. So it's the peace card, and it's tranquility, silence, truce, and goodwill. And if you've listened to me at all, then you know peace is one of my core values. So it really is for me. I am not a Course in Miracles student. I know a little bit about it, but one of the sayings that I really like is you're in the room to heal the room. And for me, that doesn't mean being bold and saying, stop doing that, you shouldn't do that. It's about holding space in a peaceful, calm way. Sometimes I'm able to do it, and sometimes I need to leave that chaotic environment in order to maintain peace. But it is certainly a passion of mine, is to help people to have inner peace, because I know that externally that will follow through. And I'm a firm believer that people who feel heard and seen are less likely to harm themselves and others. So that is what my passion is about. We have Rosalie here, who would like a card pulled for her. Which one of you would like to do it? Or, okay, Shawna, go for it.
So one thing, so there's a couple cards that came to me, and I want to say like real quick. So going back to like the tiger card that Sunny picked for me, at first I was like, oh, I don't know about this card, but then all these signs from the tiger came with me. So, when if you get these cards, which I hope you do, really know and like look at the one that you pick and really just know that it's for you right there in that moment, and just sit with it and see what happens. Because the more I sat with it, I really was in tune with it. So there's that. And there's a couple cards that just came to me that I pulled. So I don't know if it's for Michelle or Rosalie or just for the collective, but it was the eagle card again. So there's the eagle, freedom, visionary, risk taker. But the first one that came was monkey, curiosity, fun, courage, and community. So that one, I think, we could all use that, right? Remember to have fun, right? No matter how old you are, right? Like me, if I am at a playground and I see a swing set, I don't care. Like I'm almost 50 years old. I'm still going to go swing on the swing. If I see a slide and I can go down the slide, I'm still going to do it. So I think it's, a reminder for us to have fun, right? Like who cares how old you are? Have fun. It's good.
Yeah, I love that. Does somebody want to pull one for Michelle also? And before that, what you were talking about as far as your card that she chose, when she chose Kuan Yin, which is, I wish I had pulled the cards, compassion, I don't remember exactly everything. But again, compassion is one of my top values. And when I first saw the card, besides the fact I wanted the elephant, because I love elephants, it seemed so soft to me. Thank you, Dani. That for me, I felt like compassion is really a strong thing. To be able to be compassionate requires strength. And so I had to work with that card because it's beautiful. There's nothing at all wrong with it, but it seems so soft and demure to me that I'm like, that's not the compassion. But then when I thought about it more, when you're truly in compassion, you can be soft and gentle because you're not trying to prove your point or anything. So it really turned out to be the right card. But I'm like, I'm not pink and soft like that. What are you doing to me, Sunny? So, yes, Michelle would like a card pulled.
I had pulled one for Michelle.
Okay.
And I got rainbow.
Ooh, I've yet to pull that card.
Inspiration, connection, equality, and hope. So, and I just feel like there's something maybe you're working on, Michelle, or needing some inspiration on. And what I'm getting just from this in regards to connection is kind of connecting with the earth, connecting with nature that'll help to get that inspiration going so that you can kind of work through that block that's coming up, because there is hope. There's hope. It's, it's not the very end, it's not, oh man, I'm never going to get past this. There is hope. You just need to get that connection and then that inspiration will come. That's what I got.
I love it.
Hopefully that helps, Michelle.
Yeah, I don't see any other comments in there right now. Ladies, would you like to pull another card, or where are you at? Are you complete with the conversation? I'm shy, but I can talk for hours. So, Bonnie, you would like to say something?
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I was just fooling with the cards, and then this is the card I just picked, the sixes.
Oh, yes.
Which is always a great conversation because, again, Sunny talks about the sixes and how, we look at it and, most people look at a 666, that's a devil number, that's an evil number. And it's like, really, it's not. It stands for positive thoughts, gratitude, spiritual connection. And, talking about how, over the years, over the centuries, where, people put their own spin on things. And then it continues to snowball and snowball and snowball. So that's kind of like what has happened with the 666. We've gotten away from the fact that we need to think positive thoughts, that we need to have gratitude, that we need that spiritual connection. And so it's like, I look at it and I'm like, wow, that you rethink about some of the things that you've been told, some of the things that, I don't know, teachers have taught you or whatever, that, look at your own intuition is what do you know to be true? One of the things I want to ask, I thought and I meant to talk about this at the beginning when we started talking about intuition. I don't know if anybody saw this, but of course, everybody knows about the horrific incident that happened down in Florida. And there was a guy who was on the news this morning, and he was talking about how he lived in the condos, and he had one of the condos that collapsed. But his girlfriend the night before talked him into staying with her overnight. And so they were interviewing him, and she was right beside him, and she had on this shirt that said intuition. And I thought that was just so kind of prophetic. It's like, yeah, this is her intuition said, no, stay the night here, and he listened, and it saved his life. So interesting.
And you do hear stories like that, like the plane crashes, and
Right.
I had the ticket and I didn't feel good that morning, or I just felt like I shouldn't get on the plane, or things like that. Before you, Shawna, I just wanted to say, Amber says, oh my God, I've been seeing 666 all over lately. Then jump on, and that's the card pull right with you, Bonnie. And that's something else to think about, is look for the signs that you see. My phone will play music without me touching it all the time. So I'm like, okay, what's the lyrics of this song, and things like that. So it's about paying attention to your surroundings too. Shawna?
So so a couple things. So to piggyback on what Bonnie was saying, years ago, I went through flight attendant training through American Airlines. And this was around the time that September 11 happened. And there was like a lot of circumstances going on in my life. And after I finished the training, like I was going to be relocated. I was actually supposed to go to Chicago, right? And I just felt like, I can't do this. So right after that, like after I finished all this training, I was like, nope, I can't do this. And then September 11th happened, and I like literally could have been anywhere at that time. And I really believe that like I could have been on one of those planes. I feel it in my gut. So it's like now, when I realize that, it's like, wow, it's like, what do I really need to do with my life that I'm not doing, right? Because it's, I'm here, right? I'm still here. So there's so much for me to do. And of course I picked another card. I guess I just want to show all the animal cards, because
Okay.
I literally picked B, sweetness, belonging, and industrious. Like, I don't know. So there's something with that. And then I just have this intuitive hit, and I don't know what it is, but I feel like that Giuliano has a card for Rosalie, and I don't know why. I just keep feeling that and sensing that. So I'm just going to go say that.
I did pull a card. I didn't know who it was for, and it is the sun. And so I'm so glad that this followed the 666, because truth be known, that is the card that's pushing me way out of my comfort zone. Being raised Catholic and still being in Sunny's community, it is the one card I'm not using in my readings. And it is my work, because even though Sunny doesn't subscribe to it having energy, I believe. And I have a deep belief, and I have experience. So we all need to, this is a really good learning opportunity, that in the spiritual world, I've learned that when we use that card, and if we pull it for clients, that it's, not to focus on your ego, that maybe you're living more in your ego and you're worried about material things.
Right.
However, I know that I attract a lot of Catholics like me. And so I want to attract more clients, not less.
Right.
And so I'm just not using it right now. And Sunny said, to examine where I am, and I'm honoring that. So I'm so super glad that we got the duality of the sun.
I love that.
Yeah. And so it means outer world, identity, light, strength, absolutely tapping into the sun each day. This card number is number 11. There are no accidents. I pulled Mother Mary and the 111, and then the sun being number 11. I do consider that we're all light workers. Dear Rosalie, if you are walking through anything that feels like darkness right now, then focus on the light, that you are light, that the light is always going to lead you on the right path, and to focus on that. Right now in many parts of the world, we have an overabundance of the sun right now. That is no accident. We're walking through the tail end of COVID-19. A lot of us believe COVID is not of the light, and the light is the answer. Even when we walked through the Spanish flu, there are pictures that have come out over these 20 months of putting patients And before I became a spiritual teacher, my 9 to 5 was in healthcare. And so, with the Spanish flu, we put patients outside, concentrate on the light. And this is for all of us. We are light workers. Being in Sunny's community, I'm getting full body God bumps. Just focusing on the light, filling up with sunshine, and really, keeping your face towards the sun and let the shadows go behind you. Doing the deep work to heal, you can do it.
And
that is so beautiful, Giuliana. Wow.
And Janelle just added, she pulled the Buddha just presented, enlightenment, peace, oneness. Maybe someone call show Buddha. For me, this is very heart-based and reminds me that I am now in a space of going from the brain's belief of all that is to the heart's understanding of all that is. I love that. And I passed it up, but somebody, thank you, Giuliana, for that. Somebody said that their grandfather was a beekeeper when you pulled the bee card. So I thought that was really interesting too.
I love that. Wow, it's so cool. And you know what I love about these cards is it reminds us to remember, sometimes people may dismiss our intuition because it could be the subtle things that we see. And it's, it can be so easily dismissed, but when we really are open to that, those subtle signs just come more and more and more, because it's like a little whisper that we get sometimes. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I also think just what you were saying, Giuliana, about the 666, there's still a collective consciousness to certain things. So especially growing up Catholic, your collective consciousness around that is going to bring you into that energy. So, and in the time that it's right or not, you will release the need for it to be that. But I am a big believer that everything can be transmuted, but I do believe that certain words have a collective consciousness. So even though that word may feel great to me, if the collective in the community I live in finds it to be a horrible word, I can say it all day long and it's not going to shift people. So it's really about knowing your message and knowing your community.
You nailed it on the head. I know my community, right? And even though I love these cards, they're one of the most magical decks, and I have 108 with Sunny's deck. And so I know the energy and I know my clients. And so I thought, I'll just wait. Not using it doesn't mean anything. I've done that with other decks as well. A lot of fairy decks have cheeky energy. And so, you need to really sit in what is the message that I have for the world, and how can this support me and my message? And so, the card is absolutely beautiful, and it's the blues and the pinks and the numbers itself. It's just when you believe and you have a group of like minds, then they're going to be like, what are you doing? Right? And I just would prefer not to go there yet. I don't feel strong enough to, have the challenges, because this is why I stay so close to Sunny, because I need her to shine that light and to allow me my own experiences. But with the limited community that I have right now, I want them to keep coming, not, oh my God, what is she doing now, kind of a thing. So while I do my work, it's just going to rest.
Excellent. Nikki, do you have a comment?
Oh, no, not a comment, but since I don't have my deck and I've seen you all having your cards.
Oh, you want me to do another one for you?
I want someone to pick a card for me, if possible.
Okay. I've already picked one, so I'm going to let one of the other ladies pick one for you. Who's going to pick a card for Nikki? Okay, Dani.
I'll pick one for you.
So she can read you instead of me.
No. I want someone to read the card for me.
Oh, okay.
For you.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Even better. Just let me know.
Stop. Thank
you. You got Lighthouse.
Yes.
So guidance, safety, shine your light. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. Okay. So although you are learning, as you said earlier, you're still a lighthouse to so many others. And so this is a reminder to still shine your light, to provide the guidance that you're providing through your card readings, and continue learning, but you're still able to be a light worker and a lighthouse to others. So continue doing that. You are just such a beautiful, beautiful spirit. I love having these conversations with you because you don't even need to say anything. You can just sit there like a lighthouse, and you can still feel it. So, and I'm getting goosebumps again. So there you go.
It looks like there's a glow around her head right now.
Yeah,
like the
I know.
room is dark, and then there's a light all around her head.
And it says safety, and there is a feeling of safety around you. It just, you can just feel it. So I hope that you resonated with that, and I hope that helps you.
Thank you so much.
And
I love this card. It's one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites too. Before I even got into this work, I mean, I've always loved sailing and boating. So lighthouses have always been something I loved prior to this, and then the meaning behind it. It's exactly what I'm about. Is, you know, there's storms out there that we all have to face. So it's when people talk about being positive, there's this notion that you're not being real and you're pretending. And sometimes I can pretend to shift things, but it really is about finding that gem in the dark, in the challenge, and moving through it. You know, it's not about letting it engulf you kind of thing. So, although I would love life to be about rainbows and unicorns and puppy dogs 24/7, that's not what my positive focus is about. So, some people it might be, but that's not where I come from. Let's see. Was just thinking. I lost a comment here. Janelle was perfect card for you, Nikki, is what Janelle just said. Anyone else? We're just right at the hour. Again, I am fine if you want to talk longer, or we can close it out at the hour too. If anybody has a card they want to pull or something they want to share before we leave, I encourage all of you ladies. Yes, in just a second, Shawna. I encourage all of you to go back into Positive Focus and put your websites for people to be able to reach out to you and learn more about you. And if you're in my community, and I think all of you are, please put it there too, or on my, so it's streaming in 3 places, the Embrace Your Life community, Positive Focus, and on my personal page. So feel free to share any information of getting in touch with you that you want there, your Facebook pages, your websites, or whatever. I would love for people to get a chance to know you better. And Shawna?
I was just going to say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, this has been so much fun, and I could just talk forever. Like, I have no trouble talking. I mean, gosh, it probably, probably drives my animals at home nuts because they're probably like, oh my gosh, lady, be quiet.
Stop talking.
They can always hear me, right? So anyway, so thank you for this. And I just want to like remind people, like, gosh, if you haven't got these cards, like, oh my gosh, get a deck because they are beautiful. And I have, like Giuliano was saying, she has a lot of cards. I have a lot of card decks too. And there is something special about this card deck, just the energy. There's just such connectedness to it.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. So thank you for like having us all on. This is amazing. And I see Amber wants a card on here too. So
okay, so give her a card. One second, Juliana, and then I'll go to you. But as far as, I haven't put the link in yet, I will put the link in onto purchase cards. When you purchase them, there is a spot to ask who you heard from them about. So any of these ladies on here, remember their name, and if there was somebody's message who resonated more than the others, give them credit because they could possibly win something special from Sunny Dawn Johnston. So let them share the love with them if you purchase the cards from this link. Juliana?
Oh, I was going to say, I asked, what does Amber need to know today? And she received the beautiful Merlin. He's all about divine magic, alchemy, and spiritual teacher. And so, Amber is, what I'm feeling is Amber's immersing herself in the spiritual world, being an emissary, like we are to Sunny for Melissa Quarter. And so, she's opening herself up to all of this divine magic, because it's inside of her. So it's validation that as she journeys on her path to keep tuning in, if you look at all the cards that we've received today, it really is a mirror of life. And that's what the magic of Sunny's deck is, that, there's no guidebook per se, like how they are traditional in other decks, because she wants us to tap into our intuition. Amber You are a light worker. We use that term a few times. What it means is that you are holding a lot of light, and as you journey, use that. Oh, I'm getting full body goosebumps. Use that light to bring in what you want, to use that divine magic, that alchemy, which just means in the creation, right? What you create. And so keep those thoughts positive. Stay in the light as you transmute any shadow work that you might be walking through. I know with the wild woman, we are all moving through dark parts of ourselves and loving that anyway. And also, you are a teacher in your own right, so go out and shine your light. It's a really beautiful card. I mean, if you tap into all of that beautiful, I'm seeing a magic wand. It's really interesting because Merlin also has the lightning there, and it could feel a lot of times as we journey that we're being hit by lightning, but instead that could be the magic force that ignites that energy inside of you. Ooh, I'm getting all God bumps. If anybody wants to add to that, because he's just a really beautiful character to call upon as you want to create more in your life.
Does it have an owl on that card? Was that an owl that I saw in the upper left?
Yes. Wow. Divine wisdom, yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Tapping into that wisdom within you. Thank you, Shawna. See, we need our animal communicator here because he picks up on that. I saw the lightning, right? Because sometimes in life it feels like we're hit by lightning and then we could almost shut down, where instead you use that to alchemize what you are walking through to come out on the other side like that butterfly, right? Like, I think that we lived in other lifetimes where, we waved our magic wands like Glinda the Good Witch, and it was like everything was butterflies and unicorns, or like you were saying, dear Carol. And there are other times where, the lightning feels really bad because you feel the shock.
Yeah.
So, and the wisdom within you, I love that. Thank you. Anybody else want to add? Thanks, Amber.
I was just going to say, I love it. I mean, I love storms, so I love lightning and thunderstorms. And when you mentioned the wand, a friend of mine, this was years ago, asked the question, what 2 things do you need to save the world? And I'm like, a wand and a step stool, because I'm not very tall. So I'm like, I need my wand and I need my step stool, and I can save the world. So I always laugh when I hear somebody talk about a wand. So, ladies, anything in closing that you would like to share? You're going to go back in later and share your websites and stuff like that. Shawna's going to be back with me next Thursday in the afternoon for animal communication. So, if you have a pet, living or now past, please come join us for that. Because if you don't, the entire episode, it's going to be about Mika. And I think people might get tired about hearing about my little girl. So please come in and ask questions on that. But ladies, anything else you would like to share in closing?
I just wanted to say, just going back to Merlin and the lightning. The lightning is an energetic kick in the butt that sometimes we all need. We all need sometimes because we like to stay in our comfort zone. So it's nothing to be afraid of. Just like your intuition is nothing to be afraid of, and it's something that you can utilize to help guide you through things. And it's a little bit easier. Life becomes a little bit easier. Decisions come a little bit easier as you get used to hearing and listening and actually following those. And you can still do whatever you want to do. You can still go against it, but you'll also see what comes of it and how far to go. Oh, how cute. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Oh, he's so cute.
And I would like to add on to that too. It's about taking those baby steps. Like maybe when you're first learning to trust it, don't ask it for the big life-altering decisions. Start with something small that you can gain your confidence on. And I promise you, your intuition is going to still talk to you during those big life-altering decisions. But hopefully you'll have gained enough trust in it that you'll be able to follow it. Or like Dani said, we still have free will and choice. So we may choose to make things a little bit more challenging than if we listen. So Janelle says aloha, Mac. So ladies, thank you. I am so grateful
Carol. Thank you, ladies.
that you would join me. Yes, thank you. And for everyone else, Tomorrow I will be back at 11:30 with Melissa Bingham, and we are talking about living your life with intention. Thursday it'll be yours truly, and I believe Lisa in the community wanted me to talk about insecurity. So I'll be covering insecurity on Thursday. Next week, we'll be talking with animal communication. I don't know what my topic will be on Tuesday. Thursday, Shawna is joining me. And then Monday in the Embrace Your Life community, I'll be talking. And on Sundays, I pull cards on Sundays for people. So if you're in the community, I pull a card each day. And I don't, oh, it was Giuliano who took one out. Giuliano, I do not remember the card, but I pulled from 4 decks. And one of the decks had a card that I just don't like. So I pulled it out. Like it's just not going to be there. And so, because I remember pulling it for somebody one time and I just did not like it at all. So it was gone after that. So work with what you work with. And thank you everyone for joining in the comments. I will do more. I love having these chats, so I will certainly do more of them in the future. So join me tomorrow at 11:30 Chicago time, Central Standard Time. And remember, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the world. And most importantly, you matter to you. So we'll talk again soon. So long for now. Bye, ladies.
Thanks.